are spinning at 1,100 miles per hour, hurling through space at 67,000 miles per hour, in a Milky Way galaxy going at 2.5 million miles per hour, and we don't feel anything. That's wildly unreasonable. It's absurd. It's absurd that we're spinning at 1,100 miles per hour right now. Throw this book off the balcony, man. I'll do it. The origin of the North American Indians is involved in complete obscurity. That they are one of the older races of mankind cannot be doubted, but at what date or by what route they came to the Western continent is an unsolved problem. Many theories have been proposed to account for the red man's presence in the New World, but most of them have been vague and unsatisfactory. They can't even come close to details. However, the notion, even to think, the notion, even a theory, even a hypothesis that these Indians or these aboriginals here are Israelites is absurd, wildly unreasonable. We have no idea by what path they came. We have no idea when they came. We got no idea who they are. But nigga, you crazy if you think they Israelites. I mean, why would we be living here after slaughtering a bunch of Israelites? Would you think we're heathen or something? We're Christian. We're not heathens. We wouldn't slaughter Israelites and burn crosses on their porches. We wouldn't say convert or die to people of God. Or are we in a chaotic state because of the curse, the germ? Hold that thought. So let's keep going. South of the country of the Algonquins. Matter of fact, I want people to actually read this. Well, I put it up already, but I'm going to let you read it again. Absurd. And notice, he didn't go into any other theory. He went into no other fact. He went into no other fabled anything or myth about who you are. He only just shot down that fact that you could be from Israel. He also, before that, tried to, shoot down at the whole Asiatic thing, right? So we could find traces connecting us to Asia in different ways, you know what I'm saying? Of course, this is our Earth. The whole disconnected process of putting it back together is an abstract thought, it's not a concrete thing. Our people weren't that divided in the sense of Earth being divided, we were very aware of each other. These people, everything's new to them. Newfoundland, new Dutch, new world, everything new. They just got out. They were trapped in the old world. They could only travel the Mediterranean Sea. They couldn't get past those pillars of Hercules for a long time. So after the sinking of Atlantis and all this kind of stuff. That's when the partitions dropped. But before, in between that, those lands, that Atlantic water was unnavigable. They could not get past that barrier. To the Most High allowed them to cross that barrier to bring his judgment on us because we were in chaos spiritually. Yet we were still living in paradise. When they got here, it was still paradise. So you tell me, does Haya love you? How much does your Creator love you? That you can be living in a version of paradise to heathen while you're out of order. That even though you were out of order, you still weren't dealing with those diseases and things and all that. He still was holding it back until he just finally just let the barrier down. And it's been down for a few hundred years, right? It's been down for some time, right? And now it's time to get down and lay down. So get that again one more time. The origin of the North American Indians is involved in complete obscurity. That they are one of the older races of mankind cannot be doubted, but at what date or by what route they came to the Western continent is an unsolved problem. We'll never know what route or what time they got here. But let me tell you what I do know. Oh man, I'm Mr. JC. Rid Path. I'm writing this in 1876. I want these new Americans to feel good. I want to tell the other people in Europe to come. I want to give 50 acres of these aboriginals land away for free with tools to till the land. I just want to rob everybody, and I want them to feel good. I want them to have they have no idea about this place. Just give them some good history, you know. And of course, he's historian, so he's going to kind of put a lot of stuff in it because he can't, he can't help himself but to put the babies in, right? But to make this, it's got to be ruddy. This got to be the Negro. But let me tell you what I do know. I don't know nothing else about these people. Many theories have been proposed to account for the red man's presence in the New World, but most of them have been vague and unsatisfactory. But let me tell you what I do know. But I don't know nothing. But the notion that these Indians are Israelites, are descendants of the Israelites, is absurd. That half-civilized tribes wandering from the Euphrates should reach North America surpasses human credulity. Humans can't do that. I mean, just the notion that half-civilized tribes, so he's just going to demean these people, even though they got all the drop right here that they want, that's being stolen. We're building the White House, but let me tell you, these half-civilized tribes wandering from beyond the Euphrates should reach North America surpasses human credulity. So it'll be crazy to see how they can do that unless it's Moses parting the Red Sea. Now you're getting the cliches, the Mayan cliches. It says that Europeans or Africans at some remote period crossed the Atlantic by voyaging from island to island seems altogether improbable. We heard about the island hopping, how there were other lands that weren't sunk yet that we were able to connect different ways, but he's going to call that improbable. So all this stuff is improbable, you know. All this stuff is crazy, but he got no fucking clue. But he can tell you what's crazy. He can tell you what's absurd. I mean, how can you, as a historian, as a scientist, science, you need repeatable and observable evidence. That's why gravity's bullshit. It's a force that you got to believe in. It's a religion. You got to believe in gravity to get your ball. He's just telling you right quick, I got nothing. We got nothing but theories, man. I got a big book. I'm going to tell you kind of some stuff, but as far as who they are, I can only tell you this. I can only tell you who they're not. Israelites. Now, does he start going into giving you proofs and facts and all this stuff, how they cannot possibly be Israelites based on migration patterns, based on dates? No, because he just said he has no information on migration patterns or dates. So he can't prove it, but it's absurd. It's wildly unreasonable, illogical, or inappropriate. It's inappropriate to even bring up the notion that we are sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But he can tell us, who we're not, and he can't tell us who we are, right? So, put down on the shirt, man. Along that drop, I want you to, I'm just going to read it and I'll show it to you. Beyond the Rocky Mountains were the Indian nations of the plains, the great family of the Shoshones, the Salish, the Klamaths, and the Californians. On the Pacific slope, farther southward, dwelt in former times the famous races of Aztecs and Toltecs. These were the most civilized of the primitive Indian nations. See, they can't even front all that, all those palaces they found in Mexico. They can't even front on that in Peru. These were the most civilized of the primitive Indian nations, but at the same time, they got to do that, but then they got to dish you because they got to give. This is how they operate. They build you up, but then they enjoy cutting you down even more, man. These were the most civilized of the primitive Indian tribes, but at the same time, among the most feeble. The best builders in wood and stone. Again, they can't front on the palaces, on the intellect, but then they're going to call you weak. But the least warlike of any of the Aborigines. Really, the Aztecs were the least warlike of any Aborigines? Then we just read how the Mayans and Aztecs kicked the Spaniards out in 1638, sent them running and packing. And they never taught us in history that these Aztecs and Mayans kicked out the Spaniards in 1638. Then after that, who do you have coming here? You know, the Portuguese, the English, the French. And what did they bring? Disease, because they said, we ain't going into them jungles. That's how the Mayans and them fought. You know what I'm saying? They came out, they scrapped, and they retreated back in the jungles and picked everybody off. When the armies came in, they got lost. They didn't know where they were disoriented. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's that's the goal of war. That's why we were winning that until people started doing treaties. And they say, man, if it wasn't for the treaties, man, our numbers were being depleted. So that's why I'm on the treaties, man. And how can you, I mean, come on, we got to keep it real right now, or else we ain't going to get nowhere. We go through a similar situation right now. We are already invaded, but let's say your little bitty hood, your little suburb gets invaded. All right, you get invaded in Inglewood, or you get invaded in Harlem or Chicago. You get invaded. You already are, but you know what I'm saying. And then you gotta, fight. You and your family or your block or your hood gotta fight the best way you can, right? Because some foreign entity is invading your native entity, right? And let's say, there's two. Let's say we talking gangs, right? So there's two gangs, and one of them gangs does a treaty with the invaders. Does that make you stronger or weaker? So if we can't front, you can't front. That gang might say all day, hey man, I had to look out for my people, man, for my heritage, for Moab, for the Moabites. Whose land is this? It belongs to Haiti. Who are his children? You. It's very simple. So again, it says the Aztecs and Toltecs, civilized of the primitive Indian tribes, but at the same time among the most feeble, the best builders in wood and stone, but the least warlike of any of the Aborigines. Such is a brief sketch of the distribution of the copper-colored race in the New World. The territorial position of the various nations and tribes will be easily understood from an examination of the accompanying maps. So we're going to look at this map, accompanying maps. Okay. All right, so I'm going to drop a couple of these things, man. We'll get out of here. But get this yourself. I'll read it again. I'm trying to get you the whole page. You got the whole bandwagon. Let's do it. Editing style. Got it. I love y'all, man. That's why I'm holding this heavy book. It's kind of a workout, but it's all good. Brother needed. Oh, man, there's so much drop. Okay, so I'll read that again. On the Pacific slope, farther southward, dwelt in former times the famous races, the famous races. See, they've heard about us. We are infamous in their world, but when they got past that partition, they came into, in their eyes, a new thing, a new world, and their abstract understanding of our earth. We understand we're on one body with energies and chakras, whatever you want to call it. Cusco Peru is the navel. It's called the navel. What comes out of the navel is a birthing canal of what? On the Pacific slope, southward dwelt in the former times the famous races of Aztecs and Toltecs. These were the most civilized of the primitive Indian nations, but at the same time among the most feeble, the best builders in wood and stone, but least warlike of any of the aborigines. Such is a brief sketch of the distribution of the copper-colored race in the New World. Now, I guess it's supposed to be a sketch here, and you see right here like something looks like it got torn out. So somebody removed this sketch out the book. So if somebody got a different version of it, let me know around page 44 if you got a sketch of copper-colored people. But I do got the map. I do got some map stuff, but no sketch of copper-colored people. And again, this is copper-colored. This is Ruddy. This is Negro. This is Maya. This is Aztec. Understand? This is Israel. This is Israel. Such is a brief sketch of the distribution of the copper-colored race in the New World. The territorial position of the various nations and tribes will be easily understood from an examination of the accompanying map. All right. Right? So, first, we don't know who these people are. We got no clue, but we know they're copper-colored, just like the 1828 Webster Dictionary says. You know. And, but they can't be Israelites. That's just wildly unreasonable, illogical, and inappropriate, although we have no idea about the migration patterns. Here's a nice map, though, with some drop. Okay, this says Aboriginal America. Aboriginal America showing the distribution and territorial lines of the Indian nations in the New World. All right, so I'll let you just dig on it. I have not really looked at this yet. Did you see this side first? Maybe I'll just do that. I'll zoom in a little bit. Maybe you can get closer on some of that. It's kind of hard to read. Good view. Dig on it. I'll check it out myself a little later. This here is supposed to be the difference between, again, I haven't seen none of this, so somebody let me know if you get something from this. Man. Alright. Focus. So much drop. This is a diagram of European kinship versus a diagram of Indian kinship. This is, I don't know what they're trying to get out of this, but I don't know. It could be a hijack. It could be something. But here's the drop. This is a diagram of European kinship. I'll show you a diagram. What they're calling Indian kinship. And again, he's admitting he knows very little. And like Lexwell brought out, different people say different things because they get information from a certain tribe. So you can't just say this is a diagram of all how Indians get down when we understand all the different ites, all the different lineages and how certain people went this way, certain people went that way. So whatever tribe he got this particular diagram from, he got from. I don't think this represents, necessarily everybody or us particular, So this is the difference. This is what he's calling the Indian kinship. So obviously it looks like he's trying to draw the maternal thing here and then the paternal thing there, and saying that, it's maternal over here, although they go maternal now, so it's kind of like a flip-flop thing, So, all right, let's see what we got. Okay, so showed you that map. Let's see what this is. 8 soldiers, muskets, commanded by the captains, companies. Some drop of a specimen of Indian writings, which is interesting. Check it out. Just giving y'all a little preview. We'll get into some of these chapters as I dig further in on it. Of course, we got to have the hijack. Oh, Mongol. Stealing our stuff. Let's go. All right. Lastly, I came over here for a reason. There must be something important. I had it marked. Oh, right. So, we looked at this diagram a little bit earlier. I'll show it to you again. All right, so this is the voyages, a period of voyages. From 1000 to 1620. Now, when the King James write his, when the King James write his first, put together his first remix, 1611. So some might say a little before that, but we all know 1611, right? I got it. We read out of it like, okay, that's where all the drop is, because this one got the Apocrypha. See, because this king was so good to us that he wanted to, he's an Israelite, right? So he wanted to make it right. So he got the best scribes, and he got the best Greek people to put together the stuff that only goes back to Greek. And then, he did all these things, and he put these other books in them. So he must be a good king. Or he must be a Hebrew Edomite. And if he's a Hebrew Edomite, is he your friend or your foe? Well, let me see what they know. So we'll get back into this, but I'll show it to you again, and we'll go right back to it. What does it say? America under the Aboriginal tribes. Western continent unknown to the Europeans, but you can't be Israelite. But it's unknown to the Europeans, but you can't be Israelite. But it's unknown to the Europeans. America under the Aboriginal tribes, period of voyages and discoveries. All right, so got everybody. Got Leif Erikson, Everybody, a lot of people drive with the Vikings and all that. All right, Magna Carta, all the way up to the discovery of America, so-called discovery 1500s. But all this was going down as far as voyages to America to the south from the Vikings, right? So I'll kind of zoom in on some of it. So, I'm sorry, here we go. So you can see the timeline. All right. All the way up. Let's keep going. And in that 1600, you see what? King James and King Charles. They made voyages. It says Leif Erikson made voyages and Columbus made voyages, and it said apparently Henry VIII made voyage and Charles V and King James, 1600. I guess that's 1603. You see a 3 right next to it, and that's the year, I do believe. See little numbers So the tiny numbers next to that is the number within the year. So that's 1600s. I think that's 1648, 1610, 1643, 1608. I do believe, or 1603. So apparently it seems like, oh, see what I'm saying? That's when we building together, frequency. All right, so Lex will drop all the time about how they came here, took all our shit, took our writings, took them back, then did his book and dropped the 1611 mixtape that we hold and act like, oh, this King James did it for us. He took a voyage here himself. Charles V, King Charles, all the Charleses, these are dark Edomites. The Portuguese are dark, the Spaniards are dark. The white folks that came here are mercenaries, hired by these melanated dark people of Europe that were still ruling. So the Renaissance period beginning is one, this discovery here, right? So now they finally got to us, right? They twin brother. We the twin brother, right? Edomite, Idumea, right? We the twin brother. They get to us, they got the mercenaries on us. This is for their new world. But of course they get overthrown and Edomites also get put, those same Hebrew Edomites got put in slavery with us here. All right? So now we're all here together. We've been here together. So what does it say where my battery goes? I'm on page 85. I'm in chapter 7. English discoveries and settlements continued. It says the 10th of April, 1606. All right. So we just read 1600s, King James came. 1603. What does it say? The 10th of April, 1606 was full of fate in the destinies. Destiny. Yeah. Of the Western continent. On that day, King James I issued two great patents directed to men of his kingdom. So King James I, April 10th, 1606, issues direct patents directed to men of his kingdom, authorizing them to possess and colonize all that portion of North America lying between the 34th and 35th parallels of latitude. The immense tract thus embraced extended from the mouth of Cape Fear River to Passamaquoddy Bay, and westward to the Pacific Ocean. The first patent was granted to an association of nobles, gentlemen, and merchants residing at London and called the London Company, while the second instrument was issued to a similar body which had been organized at Plymouth in southwestern